Hi, Dan Brown here from Vitamob, and welcome to episode number 4 of Vitamob TV. Now, I'm super pumped that you're joining me today because we had some really great content on the show, a whole bunch of value in the call today with Abel James from Lean Body Community, who is a fitness and diet expert. So I got on a call with Abel and we talked about a whole bunch of different things. I actually tried to, get some secrets out of him and really, see what he's all about and see why we could benefit from, what he's practicing and what he's teaching his clients with regards to mostly the paleo way of life and, what it's all about and why we should care about it, really. So I had Abel on the show today. He was a great guy. I'm super happy that he shared his time with us, and you should be too, because in the interview coming up, you're going to learn a whole bunch of really cool information about, how you could change up your diet, make very small tweaks to really maximize your potential and what you're already achieving. So, without further ado, enjoy the show.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode number 4 of Vitamob TV, and today we have Abel James on the show with us, and Abel is a #1 best-selling author on Amazon, fat loss coach, musician, radio show host, and modern-day health crusader. Also, within its first year, Abel's Fat Burning Man show rose to the #1 most popular health podcast with well over 1 million listens. Abel's also an accredited speaker on the topic, having just recently spoke at the Paleo Effects Conference. So with all that said, I'd like to introduce Abel onto the show. How you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Dan.
Oh, no worries. Happy to have you here. Happy to share some of the value that I know you could provide to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I am ready to rock.
Cool. So let's jump right in here. Let's kick the ball off. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started into fitness and then eventually became an author and a coach and, everything I just talked about?
Yeah, sure. It all started just with my own personal journey. I've always really wanted to be as healthy as possible and perform as best I could, both from a productivity standpoint as well as athletics and that sort of thing. And so that led me down the path of being a vegetarian for a while, which didn't really work out too well. And I started to develop some health problems when I was in my early 20s. And then I took it upon myself to try to solve them because clearly my doctor wasn't helping, trying to just give me this laundry list of all sorts of different things to take and put in my body. And so I did a complete 180, started doing the opposite of what the doctor told me. I started eating a super high fat diet. I had been eating like zero before, like not zero, but very, very little. And made a bunch of other changes, both in the way that I trained and in the way that I ate and just lived my life in general. And so those changes allowed me to, I lost like 20 pounds in 40 days. My health just completely changed. All the health problems that I thought were a part of who I was, turns out they weren't. They were a part of what I was feeding myself and the way that I was training. And so I feel like it's my responsibility to share all of that knowledge with everyone else out there because it's not difficult. It's not complicated. It's just a matter of following the right advice. And so much of the advice out there is just completely wrong.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. On the last show of Vitamob TV, we had Jason Seib on the call, and he was telling us about all the, mainstream media myths that exist in health and fitness.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So, obviously you've come such a long way, and you have such an inspirational story. So I'm really curious as to what, now, presently, what does a typical day in the life look like for you?
A day in the life. I like that question. I typically, a lot of people who listen to me know that I don't generally eat breakfast. So I start off the day with like my morning ritual where I'll walk the dog. I'll do a quick meditation. I do some very light exercise to get the blood flowing, usually just like 30 to 90 seconds of exercise. Let's see what else. I do a detox from technology in the morning, generally speaking. So I don't check my phone or email or anything before like 11 o'clock. So I have the morning to do some writing or reading or something like that. And then middle of the day is filled up with meaningful work of some kind, and there's a lot of it these days. And usually a workout, let's see, about one or two times a week, sometimes more, sometimes even less, believe it or not. And then I'm doing Krav Maga, which is Israeli self-defense, and those classes are at night. And so I'll go to that a few times a week, which totally beats the crap out of me. And then at night, I have a little bit too much wine and usually play some guitar.
That sounds like an awesome day. Krav Maga is absolutely crazy.
Oh, it's
I've
fun.
never tried it, but I would love to try it.
If you want to be beat up by girls every week, then it's awesome. It's amazing. Like
Doesn't sound too bad.
The techniques that they show you how to do, they can be used by people who are super small or a lot weaker or slower than you, and they still completely work. So it's a humbling experience. It's awesome.
Cool. So you said that when you wake up, you activate your body with like a quick 60 to 90 second workout. So I'm thinking probably you do some jumps or something like that, right? Just to get the blood pumping.
Yeah, I'll do kettlebells or pull-ups or push-ups, something that's fairly intense but not too intense, because otherwise it's kind of like a compliance issue. If I'm dreading it, if you wake up first thing in the morning and you're just feeling awful that day for whatever reason, maybe from having too much wine the night before, then I just want to be able to do it and feel good about doing it. So that's another important piece. I don't try to overdo it, especially in the morning. If I'm traveling, that's a little bit different because usually I won't have a chance to work out. So in my hotel room, I'll do Tabatas. I'll do burpees. So in 4 minutes, you're just completely smoked, and that's the way to do it.
Cool. So I'm actually really curious now. So that's like your little morning workout. What does your full workout look like? Like what kind of workouts are you doing?
Generally, I'm not a fan of the gym. I hardly ever go unless I'm traveling. I have a shed in my backyard, and within that shed, I have two 50-pound dumbbells. They're actually adjustable, but I never adjust them. I just like to keep it simple. I have a bar that's like 270 pounds or something like that I do deadlifts with, and I have a pull-up bar in my house, and I have two kettlebells. One's 50 and one's 70. And that's pretty much all my equipment. Like I said, I never really go to the gym. So a workout will be about once a week. I'll do sprints, usually Tabatas. So that means 20 seconds all-out sprint, 10 seconds off, and you do that 10 times in a row. And for my lifting workouts that I do like once every week or so, maybe once every 10 days, it'll be full compound body weight or exercises with the weight that I told you about before. So with the bar or the free weights. And so that'll look like pull-ups, bench press, deadlifts, squats, and I usually get in and get out of my workout within like 45 minutes, sometimes even less, like a half an hour. And I try to just churn it right out, and I'm usually sore the next day.
Cool. Yeah, sounds like it's like a high-intensity circuit workout then, right?
It is. I probably do a little bit more rest than that, especially when I'm doing the heavier weights. But for things like deadlifts, I won't go straight to the next exercise. But yeah, I try to get, like, I definitely am not one of those meatheads who hangs out in the gym all the time.
Cool. Well, I just want to touch on something that you mentioned earlier, because here at Vitamob, we're all about workout efficiency and keeping consistent with your workouts and your nutrition. So I'm wondering, how do you keep consistent with your fitness and nutrition on a day-to-day basis?
I think by keeping it interesting, actually. So one thing that I don't do that a lot of people do, especially if they're fitness models or celebrities or they need to be on the cover of a magazine or something like that, they'll tend to eat the same thing every day, day in and day out. And that's something I absolutely do not do for health reasons and just for psychological reasons. I try to make my food as delicious as possible. And so typically we'll be cooking a lot. We hardly ever eat out. And so I keep it interesting that way by cooking weird stuff. Usually it involves bacon or chocolate and lots of fat. And then from an exercise perspective or a training perspective, I think it's pretty similar. You want to keep shaking it up. So I told you that, I would do sprints and lifting, and I get to the point where I was working out maybe once or twice a week and kind of maintaining my size, maintaining my strength. And I'm just like, holy crap, like you really don't have to exercise that much at all. And I feel like a cream puff. I feel like I don't really know what to do with my body. And that's why I started Krav, because it challenges you to move in completely different ways. You need to be flexible. You need to be fast and explosive, which you don't need to be in the gym. And so I think it's really important to find those things that work for you. Maybe it's yoga or dance or Zumba or karate or something like that, or even flag football, you know. Find those things that constantly make it interesting for you and challenge your body to do something new and different.
Cool. That's some great advice, and I definitely agree with that because that's kind of what I do. I'm always trying to switch up my workouts and keep things interesting and fun so, you're not dreading going to the gym or going to work out, 'cause
Right.
that's the worst feeling, and that's going to, lead you to quit like next week.
Absolutely.
So. Cool. So, Abel, I'm just wondering, I'm kind of new to this whole paleo concept, so can you explain to us, like, what is paleo and, why should we care about it? Why should our listeners care about paleo?
Yeah, so paleo is very simply going back to what humans would have eaten based around what was around us for the majority of our evolution. So going back at least 10,000 years before the advent of modern day agriculture and certainly industrialized agriculture systems that like we have today and processed foods and that sort of thing. So what that means is what you'd be eating are primarily plants and animals and not grains or legumes or sugars or processed foods or anything like that. And so a lot of people, when they hear paleo, they think it's an all-you-can-eat meat fest, which is just completely inaccurate. At least fundamentally, the way that most people do paleo who are in the paleo community is you eat more veggies than you do meats. And that's not always the case. That's certainly the type of diet that I advocate, is that people eat a heck of a lot of plant foods and some animal foods to round it out. But it's not this thing where you're just like shoving steak and bacon down your neck 24/7.
Right. That makes sense. That's cool. So, what's the difference between a legume and a vegetable, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so legumes would be like chickpeas or beans or peanuts. It's just a different class of food. So the ones that are generally safe if you're eating paleo would be green leafy veggies. Those are non-starchy vegetables, so they won't spike your blood sugar. They won't generally cause digestive upset. And some other ones are starchy tubers, things like sweet potatoes. White potatoes may or may not be okay, depending on like how some people tolerate them. That's technically a nightshade. And then other veggies. I mean, most veggies are safe. Fruits, on the other hand, you'll want to limit if you're trying to achieve some sort of fat loss, usually to 1 to 2 servings a day, just because of the sugar and the fructose content in those.
Cool, cool. So moving forward more into fitness and working out away from nutrition, can you give us a couple of your best fat-burning tips that you used back when you wanted to lose a whole bunch of weight?
Yeah, one of the biggest shifts that I made was to stop buying products. I think that one of the biggest things you can do is start paying attention to the quality of your food. And it's kind of a hard shift at the beginning because, like, if you're healthy or whatever, or you've been training for marathons, you're really clear about like counting your calories and weighing food. But it really isn't about that if you want health, or even if you want like a great body for the long term. It's about eating real high quality food, the highest quality that you can find. I don't even really look at the labels. I look at the ingredients in foods, but the vast majority of foods that I eat, and I recommend that other people eat, don't come with labels, because real food doesn't need to be labeled. You know, it's just like a vegetable, right? Or it's a steak. It's not this manufactured crazy new food product that they've come up with that's supposed to be the best thing since sliced bread, which actually isn't that good anyway. So I would say number one, eat real food, and I mean it. Like, eat the highest quality food you could possibly find.
Cool, cool. So how about now, what would be your best muscle building tip?
So one thing that especially guys will do this, girls do it too, but they'll try to isolate certain muscles, right? So if a guy wants big
Yep.
biceps or big pecs, he'll just work those out. Um, or if, or if a woman wants a flat belly, she'll do lots of ab exercises. That's actually the wrong way to go about it. Um, that can be useful if you're like a fitness model or a bodybuilder going down to a competition and the rest of your body is in good shape and you just want to like fix a couple things. But if you're talking about losing fat and building muscle and getting a good body composition, you actually want to be doing full body exercises, compound movements like the ones that I was talking about before. One thing that's really interesting in my own experience is that, I made those same mistakes, especially when I was younger. When I was working out, I would do a lot of upper body because like I didn't care about like how big my legs were, right? You just want, as a guy, you just want big arms and like big pecs and that torso that's shaped in a masculine way. But the thing that actually allowed me to build a heck of a lot more muscle and even get a bigger chest and a bigger, better form and better shape was by exercising my legs, doing things like squats and deadlifts, because it's not just about individual muscles or abs or whatever. It's about your whole body's shape. And that's really the most important thing. When people see you, the way that you feel when you walk around, that's the thing that's really going to affect the way that you look and feel is the shape of your whole body, not, whether or not you have a six-pack, right, underneath it. It's about that shape.
Right. That definitely makes a lot of sense because I know so many people who just train upper body,
Mhm.
and that's pretty ridiculous if you ask me. And to come from the other side of the spectrum, like you said, legs are so important because I also know that it's really interesting to do legs at the beginning of the week because it actually spikes your testosterone levels for the rest of the week
Mhm.
for your other workouts, so you can benefit more from those workouts as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important. I think it's one of the most underrated exercises are just those big ones that target the legs.
So you're talking about compound exercises like deadlifts, squats, front back
Yeah,
squats.
and sprints too, and jumps and things like that that more target the being explosive. One of the things that I say is if you want to look like an athlete and feel like an athlete, then train like one. You know,
Right.
they're not using those little ab rollers or whatever. They're doing sprints. They're cutting. They're moving their body in crazy ways. They're focusing on flexibility, also hitting the gym and doing or hitting the shed in my case and doing heavy weight exercises, resistance training.
Right, right. So, Abel, before you run here, I just want to do a little shameless plug for your new book, The Lean Body System. Can you tell us what it's all about and some of the benefits that people can get from reading that?
Sure. So it's actually a full uh, digital product. It's a ebook program. We have audio and then coaching videos as well that come along with it. And then I have a coaching community that folks can also sign up for if they're interested. But basically, I go through all of the things that I learned on my path to being as healthy and strong and happy as I possibly could be. So all the things that come out of bodybuilding training and scientific research as far as how you can lose fat as quickly as possible and relatively easily and build muscle as well. So that's, if people are interested in kind of learning everything that I know about the subject, that's the place to do it.
Awesome. That sounds great. I'm going to have a link below this video so that they could check you out and check out your website right below this video somewhere on this page. And with that said, do you have any last words for our listeners today?
Have fun. Enjoy your life. It's the life that you have is one that is entirely your creation. So have an awesome day. It's your responsibility to do just that.
Great, great. Well, thanks a lot for coming on the show today, Abel. I really appreciate your time and the amazing content you shared with us. So have an awesome day, and I look forward to chatting with you in the future.
Sounds great. Thanks a lot, Dan.